Welcome to the November 27th OpenZFS production user call. We have Andrew, Steve, Jan, and Stu, plus myself. There is active Summit follow-up. OSI has been good about some of the reimbursements, and if you are owed something, let me know how to reach you. And Steve, I would like to know if Matt gave you access to the subtitles.
Yes, I was able to work on some of that,
Awesome.
sort of getting into a flow on it, but everything seems to be working fine. And I figured out how to publish things without destroying everything. So
That
looks
is a
good.
plus. Okay.
Yep.
Have you kept track of which ones you've done? Can you rattle off some that are done
I have
seal of
I've
approval in your eyes?
I've only done the hackathon one, which was especially difficult.
I hear
Um,
you. Well, it's a good learning experience.
yeah, and I will work them in the order of views.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Yeah. So all eyes on you, Brian Bellendorf. He is just, yeah, putting everyone else to shame with the 2.3 release video, was it? Cool. And fortunately, if people take a progressive stab at it, like Andrew did some, and I thank you for that. Um, if as long as it's saved, one can pick up where they left off, which is really helpful. And thank you in advance for any and all help there. And thank you, Andrew. You poked at one. And for what it's worth, Jan and Stu, if you are feeling spicy and want to also look at subtitles, I can either send an SRT file, or if you really want to dive in, Matt can issue access to a Google account. And while this is not an advocacy for YouTube in general, I'm pleased to say that their tools for generating and maintaining subtitles are quite good. I do know DaVinci Resolve Studio can also do it. I've experimented with that, and those subtitles can be used elsewhere is the point I'm trying to make. So that's kind of cool. I'll do a quick look at the playlist here. And for the recent Summit playlist, we are hitting several three-digit views. This is good. I'm disappointed that libzfs guarantees wasn't very hot at 17 views, but Brian is up to 396 views as of this morning, afternoon, evening. Wow. Good work, man. So thank you for working
Announcing
on those.
everyone's work is very popular. Good to hear.
Yes. And another follow-up that was on the OpenZFS Slack channel was from the illustrious and amazing and kind Richard Elling. And while that name might not mean anything to you, I will keep trying to click this over. In talking about sort of cool pre-flight, he pointed out that actually I'll grab the text he described, or did I get it there? I think I put it there. No, I didn't put it there. Okay, let me grab that. His comment was, for want of common tools, he produced this. So I'll leave it on screen for you. And if I was smart, I'll put it in the chat, but I'm trying to multitask here. Let me get his text. I'll go for completeness in case this is my last day. App dots. Okay. So his team produced filebench some time ago, solid 7 to 13 years ago. Boom. So there's that. And his comment was, I will make it. So sorry, I wasn't prepared with that. I got as far as just the URL. Go. Okay. That is filebench, and his comment was switch tabs, switch tabs. My computer wants a vacation. Okay, so I'll drop his comments in, which give it the context I'm trying to achieve here. There we go. So, watching the discussions, this is why we developed filebench. but even though we have tooling to create more representative load generation, they didn't actually result in better solutions. That's an interesting comment right there. A more useful rule of thumb was that unless you have one user, every workload generates to random. I see. That's a very good point right there. One useful.
And in my opinion,
Yes.
that is an easy way out. I agree it does to generate,
Yeah.
but there is representation that we can say, hey, if I'm working in DaVinci Resolve against X size files,
Yep.
this is the performance that can be replicated and seen once you get to 10 users. And where it's
Amen.
break down. So
Amen.
I don't disagree in concept, but in reality, that's basically saying we're not going to go any further. So
Oh,
why try?
yeah, I hear you. Okay, that I will support you in. Yeah, correct. And I believe you used the term easy button, was it? Easy way out. Cool. Okay, so food's hit the table, so let's punch through some things pretty quickly here. Thank you, Jan, for your comments. By the way. Oh, and on that very topic, Jan, thank you for pointing out that the latest BSD now has some good ZFS benchmarking advice. So
That looks pleasantly flat out there.
and if you want to punch in a link, go for it.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about at the offsite at the conference as well.
Oh, and here's the article that goes with it.
Was what that Klara article.
Base.
Yeah.
Klara.
Fun things like running file without fsync, or that file's compressibility setting does not guesstimate how good your compression algorithm is, but which amount of the data to make non-compressible, and the rest is just zeros. So if you say I want to have something which can be compressed down to 70%, what that means is write 70% pseudo-random data and 30% zeros, which, yeah.
Yep.
May trip up users. But hey, it's a good overview of
call topic, etc. It's one that's close to all of our hearts, but yeah. So I would love to ask, maybe Jan, you know the answer. I noticed that FreeBSD has default ACLs over the entire file system, which I never thought to check and I did not expect to find. Do you know if those are set during build time, during
neither? What they are is a representation of the default Unix permissions.
Got it.
It's basically the embedding of taking the traditional Unix owner group, everyone, and turning that into representing that as an NFS before ACL.
So
there is no ACL stored at that point. It's just the normal permissions. But,
and that's produced on the fly when visible to get ACL. If there's perhaps not one, is it pulling it from the default permissions?
Just create a directory and run get a fuckle on it.
Yep.
And you will see something like that.
And so, yes, but that's my question. When is that? Does that appear dynamically based on?
I don't know the implementation detail.
That's my question.
Of whether it's basically there's a way to put the permissions in the normal format, or if ZFS internally always uses that and then basically notices that it's one of the canonical traditional permission sets and then says, okay, this file has no ACLs because the ACL is representable as traditional Unix permissions. I don't know which way around it's implemented, but it shouldn't matter for a user. The observable behavior, I can tell you, is that you will always see an ACL, which is the translation from the traditional permissions to ACL.
Got it.
But I don't
Okay.
know if there's a mapping back in the implementation. I never had to check because
Yeah, I
it was
didn't
never
even know
relevant
they'd
to
be
me.
there. I didn't know there was a translation in the first place. So that's, and the context, I buried the lead, is that I had to work on a stunningly messed up uh, file system and strip it down to absolutely nothing. And to that point on FreeBSD, this may be a little different on Linux, but set f-acl-b to remove or restore defaults of ACLs absolutely did not want to do what I wanted, and it certainly didn't remove unwanted ones, like a remove before and allow, etc., etc.
I think you can use -K on setFackle to
Yeah.
delete any
Oh,
ACL.
-X if you know what you're looking for. So you specify it exactly, and that's what I ended up doing, and it worked extremely well. Just it took a
But
whole
I
lot of
meant
pounding my head against it to get there.
if you want to get rid of messed up ACLs and want to start from scratch, you can use -K to kill any ACLs and go back to the basic permissions.
Correct.
And then you can use change owner and change group and change mode to set up the
Yes.
basics and then build up back with ACLs if you have to.
Unless you're on ACL mode equals strict, and then you lose some of the group, etc. Show of hands, who would like to delve deeper into ACLs on, say, Samba and perhaps NFS-based file servers that are backed by
Yeah,
ZFS?
that would be useful to have some authoritative documentation on how to set up which version of Samba correctly
Hmm.
so that you can have inherited permissions for new directories and so on. Because the alternative is to just only do access control on the export level and then force all the users to use the same user and group, which is not auditable.
Yeah.
Because at that point to
It's
the kernel, everyone
Stu,
looks the
Steve,
same.
Andrew?
um since we're on two different branches, it may not necessarily be relevant to everybody. But
Oh, when they're portable, it gets even more painful and we need even more information. Go ahead.
but all of the ACL stuff does end up getting handled by at ZFS ACLs
Hmm.
in the Illumos side when using both the kernel-based CIFS shares as well as NFS shares,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
So if you use a dedicated user for each user of your network file system on the Unix level, then it should work out like that on FreeBSD. But now you have to figure out which permissions you have to set, especially on directories, so that new files are also accessible by who should see them, because you have a problem that normal users don't know how to use change group and change permissions
Yeah.
on any
You
new
don't need
files
to.
they create.
All you do is set inheritance and you
Yeah,
set the
exactly.
controls at the top level and you're done.
Yeah, but you also have to do that for any existing files and directories, especially directories. That's
Now when you build it, I mean, hey, here's a new Samba share. Here's
yeah.
that's for it, and it inherits from everything down
Mhm.
from initialization. Yeah,
And now
initialization.
you have the problem of what happens when I copy files into their locally.
Oh, and not over Samba?
What happens if the administrator does something where we don't know SFTP or whatever,
Good
and
one.
then you have to fix it up.
If they do a copy with preserved permissions or a copy without permissions, it will inherit what's there.
Yep.
It depends
I
on
hope
which
so.
protocol you're doing, or if you're unpaired guitar ball or something.
Yeah, if you're tarballing it, yeah, it's going to keep the permissions. But if you are creating a file
Hmm?
directory, it's going to say, "Hey, do I have inheritable permissions?" Yeah, okay,
Yes,
here, apply them. But if you're
exactly.
doing moves as root, mileage may vary.
Exactly, because recursive CPS root defaults to preserving permissions, at least on FreeBSD.
That's good to
So
know.
it won't. I think it won't let you inherit because it will say no, no, no. I want to have exact permissions.
So that's
But I
a
don't know
tip of the
about. I
iceberg
know that
topic.
it works like that for basic permissions,
Mhm.
but let me double check ACL. Yeah, he also preserves ACL, so it does not let. Yeah. So just something as simple as CP-P will break that, and then you have to fix it up. And so then you have to
Right.
know how to fix it up and figure it
Okay.
out again every half year or so.
That's one where I'd like to do homework before going deeper. And Jan, you have channel program progress. I confess I must step away for a bit. If y'all want to talk amongst yourselves, I can rejoin as soon as possible. Or would you like to save these topics for the future?
So
I'm good with short today.
Okay,
the short version is that
please.
I made some progress with the channel program to figure out which clones are out of sync with the specified origin snapshot. But I haven't finished it up and implemented robust error handling. So it's not yet ready.
Cool.
But
Keep us
yeah,
posted. And on another call, you described that mounting behavior, and then Daniel followed up saying, hey, I saw that and documented that in his BSD can talk. So
yeah.
I am curious about that sequence of events and its perhaps unexpected behavior.
Yeah, it is definitely unexpected behavior,
Okay.
especially the way you see it when you run mount to see how the mounted file system tree should look like.
Yep.
Because what I found out is when I take a set of ZFS file systems, and on each of them, I directly after creating them create a snapshot
Yep.
called add empty, and then I create the next. And so and then I mount all of those, and then I one by one roll
Yep.
them back to the add empty snapshot. They stay mounted, but in the topmost one, to the point where it gets rolled back to should be the add empty state, which wouldn't even have the directories for the other ZFS file systems mounted inside of it.
Hence empty. Yeah.
Because at the time the snapshot was taken, it was empty. But of course, it doesn't want to unmount, so it recreates or does not roll back the directories. It doesn't unmount the file systems which are inside of there. But the really messed up part is that now you have the directories on the topmost file system in the mount subtree accessible instead of the mount points which should be mounted there. So if you now do something like install a FreeBSD jail in there, anything you wanted to split off in a subfile system is now not in the child, but in the directory which the child is supposed to mount on top. So the next time you mount all of those file systems, you will have the empty mount points on top of the not empty directories, which looks like your data is gone. It isn't. It's just in the wrong file system.
Been there, done that.
And
Yep.
when you run mount to see which file systems are mounted, you see that in the mount output, the mount points are underneath each other in the right order. So it looks like everything should be there. So the kernel thinks there is something mounted, but you can't access it because
It's
you
so
can't
mounted.
navigate into it using the absolute path for the mount point.
Okay, got it. I will
Completely
track that with you.
broken behavior, which is, I think, only reachable for doing this kind of insanity
Mm.
of rolling back true before you had the directory to mount on top,
Got it.
because the fix up logic doesn't really fix it up correctly.
Got it. Okay, well, do determine if that's a bug or simply the
I
inherent
would say it's
behavior we
definitely a
can't get
bug,
around to. Okay, start that
because that
report.
state can
I'll
never
help you
be
phrase
what
it.
you want, because
That's a good
the
point.
state you end up in is
Wait,
just
Stu's taken off for turkeys prep.
useless.
He's quite a connoisseur. Jan, seriously, start that bug report text and how to describe it. I'm glad to co-author that with you, okay? I need to
You
run.
just,
Stu needs to run.
yeah, maybe you hit me up via Signal later or something.
Okay, fantastic. Take care, everyone. Always a pleasure, and happy Thanksgiving for those who celebrate.
Quick thing,
If you can find it. Yes, sir.
if there are still closed captions that need to go over,
Yep.
you can send me another one and I
Ooh,
will go
okay.
over it on Friday.
I
Maybe.
appreciate that. Okay, thank you for that. Steve, are you around to hear that so we don't step on each other's toes?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how we can potentially indicate that we're working on something. I was thinking maybe if you send something out, Michael, could you just at the very front put like something in the transcription and publish it that would indicate it's a WIP, work in progress?
Sure. Yeah,
And I
or in
and I'll
like
do the
file name
same
or the email or
in the actual transcription.
oh, that's a good point. Or oh yeah, a little history might be smart. Cool. And uh, this is yet another tip of the iceberg topic insofar
Yes.
as looking at hundreds of these calls, it would be nice to at least have the first letter of every first sentence like capitalized, but somehow YouTube doesn't think to do that. Go figure. Okay, gang. Anything else? Final thoughts? I will put thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, not the transcribers, subtitle editors. You
And
rock. And this is important, and it's a broader accessibility issue. It's useful for those who just want to generate a transcript of a talk. It's awesome on every level. So thank you. Yes, Andrew?
and be sure to like and subscribe.
Ooh, well played. Well played. Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. See ya.